Hello there, and welcome to Aiden's Sleep Stories. I'm so glad you've joined me tonight. Moment to slow down, to breathe a little softer, and to rest beneath the quiet rhythm of the stars. Perhaps you're lying under a blanket, listening, in the stillness of your room, or maybe you're simply closing your eyes, ready to drift, wherever you are. This time is just for you. Tonight's journey is a gentle one. We won't be racing through the universe, we'll be listening to it. Listening to the way time itself bends and shifts, like a clock that never quite ticks the same to different places. We'll rest beneath the stars, feel the Earth's steady heartbeat, glide with satellites through orbit, and sit beside a river where moments flow both forward and back. But don't worry, this is not a lesson. It is a lullaby of science, a story of time's delicate fabric, and the quiet beauty of knowing that every second you feel is part of something vast and wondrous. So if your day has felt hurried, if your thoughts are still moving too fast, let them soften here. Take a deep, easy breath, let your shoulders sink into the bed beneath you, and allow your mind to drift gently toward the slow, shifting currents of time, where even the smallest moment can carry you into rest. Let's begin. A clock beneath the stars, you begin. Your journey lying beneath an open sky, where countless stars keep silent time. Each glimmer above has its own clock, ticking in a way your eyes can't see. Time feels steady here, yet it slips differently in the vastness above you. Tonight, we start listening to time's quiet variations in the universe's gentle breath. You lie on your back in a quiet field. The grass beneath you is cool, the air still, and above you, the night sky stretches without end. Stars are scattered across it like drops of light on black velvet. Some shine fiercely, others just barely. Yet, each one is keeping its own kind of time. It doesn't feel that way to you, of course. Here on Earth, time feels like one steady, unbroken thread. Seconds follow seconds, minutes build into hours, hours into days. It is so constant that you rarely question it. Your heart beats, a clock on the wall ticks, and the moon drifts across the sky, all moving to the same rhythm, or so it seems. But the truth is softer, stranger, and more beautiful than that. High above, in the deep stillness of space, clocks tick at different speeds. A clock on a distant star does not keep the same time as the watch on your wrist. Even two identical clocks, one here beside you, one carried far away into orbit, will quietly disagree after a while. They live in the same universe, but they do not feel time in the same way. You may wonder why. Is time not universal? Shouldn't it be the same everywhere? That is what people once believed. For centuries, the idea of time was simple. It was absolute, flowing evenly through all things, untouched by where you were or how you moved. It was like a great cosmic river, steady and unchanging. And then, in the early 1900s, a man named Albert Einstein sat down and thought about light, motion, and the nature of reality. He realized that time is not the unbending river we imagined. It is more like a flexible fabric, one that can stretch and compress depending on your speed and the pull of gravity. Here, lying in the field, you can't feel this. Your seconds come at their usual pace. But look upward, and you are staring into places where time has shifted. On the International Space Station, astronauts experience time just a little differently than you do here on the ground. The difference is tiny, a fraction of a second over many months, but it is real. And over great distances, or at great speeds, the effect becomes profound. You close your eyes and imagine holding two identical clocks. You place one beside you in the grass, and the other you launch into orbit, riding with a satellite around. The Earth, up there, far above the pull of Earth's full gravity, that clock will tick slightly faster than the one you kept. Not because it's faulty, not because anything is wrong, but because the flow of time itself is different. Now imagine going the other way, deep into a valley or near the surface of a planet heavier than our own. Gravity grows stronger. There, pulling at everything, even at time. Your seconds would lengthen, your clock would slow while far away. Another clock in lighter gravity would race ahead. This idea that time changes depending on where you are and how fast you move is called time dilation. It is not just theory. It has been measured, tested, and proven. The very satellites that guide your GPS must account for it, adjusting their clocks so the system stays accurate. Without those adjustments, your phone's location could drift. Miles from where you actually stand, you think of the satellites, invisible in the darkness above, circling the planet like slow, steady dancers. Each one carries a perfect clock, tuned so finely it loses less than a billionth of a second in a day. Yet even those clocks are not immune to time's bending. In orbit, away from Earth's stronger gravity, they tick slightly faster. But because they are also moving swiftly, their motion slows time down again. Both effects must be balanced. Gravity's push and motion's drag, so the satellites stay in harmony with Earth. You open your eyes again. The stars are still there, still shining. You feel as though you're lying at the bottom of a great, transparent ocean of time, looking upward at currents and ripples you cannot see. It's humbling to realize that the seconds you experience are not quite the same seconds that someone or something is experiencing somewhere else. Even here on Earth, the top of a mountain experiences time just a little differently than the shoreline. The difference is too small to notice in daily life, but it is there. And over billions of years, such differences can shape the universe. Think of the stars again. The light you see from them began its journey long before you were born. Some of it left its source hundreds or thousands of years ago. It has crossed the great fabric of space, traveling through regions where gravity is light, where time moves a little faster. It may have skirted the edge of massive bodies, where time slows under gravity's weight. Every beam of starlight you see has traveled not just through space, but through the shifting rivers of time. This thought makes the stars feel even more alive. They are not just points of light. They are messengers, carrying the story of their journey across the cosmos. And now, as you lie here in the grass, you are part of that story too. Your eyes catch the end of their long voyage. You are receiving news from the past. You breathe in slowly. The air is cool and the scent of the grass rises in the stillness. You imagine time as a breath itself, expanding and contracting slow and steady, filling the space between atoms, between planets, between galaxies. And in that breath, every clock ticks to its own rhythm. It's easy to think of time as something fixed, something solid. But as you've seen tonight, it is not. It's more like a delicate instrument, sensitive to its surroundings. And it is this very sensitivity, this quiet flexibility, that makes navigation across space and Earth possible. The clocks in space must listen carefully to the shape of time, just as you are listening now, above you, somewhere beyond sight. Satellites glide in their precise orbits, keeping watch. They speak in pulses of radio waves, each marked with a miston. Those signals fall to Earth, where they meet your devices, your maps, your journeys. Without knowing it, you are already living in partnership with this cosmic clockwork. You close your eyes once more. Somewhere, the first hint of dawn is touching the horizon, though here it is, still dark. The stars hold steady, the satellites keep moving, and the field is silent except for your breath. And yet, even now, the clocks are disagreeing softly, invisibly, unavoidably. You might wonder what this means for the world beneath your feet. If time is not the same everywhere, how does it shape the place you live, the ground you stand on, the very flow of days you trust? How does the Earth's motion, the turning of the planet, the gentle sway of its orbit influence the rhythm of your life? The answers lie not above you now, but beneath you, deep in the turning body of the Earth itself. The pulse of the Earth beneath your feet, our planet spins, carrying every clock with it. Yet as Earth turns, time flows slightly differently here than far above in space. We'll follow the steady heartbeat of atomic clocks, precise down to a whisper of a second. In that heartbeat lies the secret that keeps GPS from wandering astray. You lie still, feeling the weight of the Earth beneath you. The grass supports you, but beneath that is soil, stone, and at last the molten heart of the planet, a world. In motion, the Earth turns, slowly but steadily, one full rotation each day. You can't feel it, but it carries you through space like a vast, silent wheel. This spin is more than a rhythm. It is the very stage upon which your seconds are measured. Every rotation marks a day. Every tilt toward and away from the sun draws the pattern of seasons. It is as if the planet itself is a clock, one so enormous you cannot see its hands move, but whose passing you feel in light and shadow. Still, there is another rhythm hidden here, one far more precise than sunrise and sunset. It is the heartbeat of atomic clocks, devices so accurate they can measure the tiniest shifts in time. These clocks do not tick with gears or pendulums, but with the vibration of atoms. Cesium atoms, for example, vibrate at a frequency so exact that the official definition of a second is based on their rhythm. 9,192,631,770 vibrations for one perfect second. You may never hear that heartbeat, but it is all around you, in research centers, observatories, and navigation stations across the globe. Atomic clocks hum quietly, holding time steady for the whole world. They compare notes with one another, and even with clocks in space, to keep everything aligned. And yet here is the subtle truth. They do not all agree. The atomic clock on the surface of the Earth ticks a little differently than one floating high above. Why? Because the Earth's gravity, stronger here at the surface, slows time ever so slightly, and its rotation adds another layer as the ground beneath you moves eastward with the spin of the planet. You are already traveling through space at hundreds of meters per second. Motion, too, changes, times, flow. Together, these effects create a faint, constant disagreement between clocks on the ground and clocks in orbit. The difference is small, billionths of a second, but for GPS, it's everything. A billionth of a second in the speed of light is about 30 centimeters, and when you multiply that by the many signals bouncing between satellites and Earth, the error could stretch to miles. Without corrections, you could be standing on a beach and GPS would insist you are deep at sea. To keep time in harmony, the system listens to the Earth's pulse. Every day, ground stations check the satellite clocks against atomic clocks on Earth, correcting for both gravitational time dilation and the planet's rotation. It is a quiet, ongoing conversation, like a conductor adjusting an orchestra so each instrument stays in perfect tune. You might picture this as two heartbeats, one here on Earth, steady and grounded, and another high above, lighter and quicker. The trick is to keep them synchronized, even though they naturally want to drift apart. Think for a moment about the Earth's movement itself. At the equator, the ground rushes eastward at about 1,670 kilometers per hour due to the spin. At the poles, it barely moves at all. This difference means time flows microscopically faster at the poles than at the equator, a fact that is real, though so small you'd never notice it without an atomic clock. Still, GPS notices, and the corrections must account for this too. The more you think about it, the more the Earth feels alive. It has a deep, slow heartbeat, one day long, and within it, countless tiny heartbeats from its network of atomic clocks. Together, these pulses shape the way we understand location and movement. It's strange to realize that navigation is not just about where you are in space, but when you are in time. Without knowing the exact moment a signal left a satellite, your phone cannot know how far away it is. And without knowing how fast your own clock is ticking compared to that satellite's, you cannot know exactly where you stand. Time and place, then, are inseparable. You cannot have one without the other. You close your eyes and listen inwardly. You imagine feeling the Earth's pulse beneath you, slow, steady, vast. Then you imagine hearing the whisper-quick ticking of an atomic clock, like a faint shimmer in the background. Both rhythms are true, both necessary, and together they guide ships at sea, airplanes in the sky, and travelers walking home at night. If the Earth's pulse faltered, if the clocks fell out of sync, the map of the world would blur. Journeys would drift, landmarks would fade from their places. But because these hidden rhythms hold steady, you can walk through the world with quiet confidence, never thinking about the invisible clockwork guiding your steps. Above, the satellites keep moving. Below, the Earth keeps turning. Between them, a conversation continues. Here is the time as I see it. Here is the time as I feel it. Back and forth, correction after correction, harmony is maintained. And so you lie in the dark, feeling a strange kinship with these machines and with the planet itself. Your own heart beats within you, marking your life's seconds, while far larger and smaller rhythms guide the whole of humanity. Somewhere inside this harmony is a deeper question. If time can bend and shift depending on motion and gravity, how far can this go? Could we ride the flow of time itself by changing our speed or climbing away from gravity's pull? Could we slow it, stretch it, or leap forward? The answer begins with a journey, not deep into space, but into the way motion itself reshapes the seconds you trust. The Earth's pulse has brought you here, steady and unbroken, and now it's time to feel how movement can make the seconds themselves change. When speed bends time, imagine racing through space in a smooth, endless glide. Your body feels no rush, yet your clock begins to run just a little slower. This is time dilation, when speed itself reshapes the ticking of your seconds. And it's one of the invisible hands guiding satellites overhead. You are still lying in the quiet field, but now, in your mind, you begin to move. Not walking, not running, flying. At first, you drift upward into the dark, leaving the Earth's surface far behind. The blue fades to black, the stars sharpen, and the curve of the planet rounds below you, and then the motion changes. You are not merely rising, you are gliding sideways, faster and faster. There is no wind on your face, no roar in your ears. You feel as if you are perfectly still, even though the earth spins beneath you like a vast turning wheel. The stars ahead of you remain fixed in place, yet your journey is pulling you around the world in minutes. Here is the strange truth. As your speed increases, the way you experience time begins to change. This is the heart of Einstein's theory of relativity, the discovery that time is not separate from space, but woven together with it, forming a single fabric, space-time. And in this fabric, motion affects the flow of time itself. When you move very quickly, especially near the speed of light, your seconds stretch. Your clock ticks more slowly, compared to one at rest. From your perspective, nothing feels different. Your heartbeat is steady, your thoughts flow at the same rhythm. But if someone were watching you from a place of rest, their clock would show that you are running behind. It is not that your watch is broken, it is that time itself, for you, is moving more slowly. This is called time dilation, and speed is one of the main causes. The faster you go, the greater the effect. At everyday speeds, the difference is so tiny you cannot notice it. But satellites, orbiting the Earth at thousands of kilometers per hour, experience it enough that their clocks must be adjusted to stay in sync with those on the ground. Imagine two identical twins. One stays on Earth, living an ordinary life. The other boards a ship and travels at an incredible speed through space, turning back years later. For the traveler, only a few years might have passed, but for the twin on Earth, decades could have slipped by. This thought experiment, called the twin paradox, is not magic or fantasy. It is simply the way nature works when speed approaches the cosmic speed limit, the speed of light. You might picture this as a stretching of your seconds. On Earth, a second feels like a second. But when you move quickly through space, your path through time bends. You are moving through space-time in a different direction, trading some of your journey through time for a greater journey through space. GPS satellites live in this delicate balance. They are not traveling anywhere near the speed of light, but even at their high orbital speed, about 14,000 kilometers per hour, the effect is measurable. Their onboard atomic clocks tick just a little more slowly than they would on Earth. Without correction, that small difference would grow, and location readings would drift. The engineers who designed GPS did not ignore this. They built the understanding of relativity into the system itself. Every calculation your phone makes about your position accounts for the satellite's speed and the way it bends time to feel this more personally. Imagine running your hand through a stream. If you move your hand slowly, the water flows evenly around it, but move quickly, and the water's surface changes. It bends, ripples, and reshapes itself around your motion. Time is like that water. As you move faster, you disturb its even flow. Now you imagine yourself in a spacecraft, far from Earth, accelerating faster and faster. Your instruments still read the same. Your heart still beats at its normal pace. But looking back at Earth, you see the planet's clocks racing ahead of your own. Every moment you spend in high-speed travel is a moment when you are slightly out of step with the world you left behind. This bending of time is not a trick of perception. It is woven into reality. Light always travels at the same speed, no matter how quickly you move. To keep that constant true, the universe adjusts the way you experience time and space. The faster you go, the more time slows for you, and the shorter distances seem to become. Satellites use this to our advantage, though in a careful balance. They must move quickly enough to stay in orbit, their speed countering Earth's pull, but their velocity also makes their clocks slow down compared to those on the surface. At the same time, because they are high above Earth in weaker gravity, their clocks also run slightly faster. One effect cancels part of the other. The net result is a small but crucial difference, one that engineers must constantly correct. Think of it this way: a GPS satellite is like a runner in a relay race, passing a baton of time to the next runner. If the baton is passed too early or too late, the chain breaks and your phone's map would be wrong. Speed changes the runner's stride, and gravity changes the track beneath their feet. Yet the baton must arrive at exactly the right moment. As you drift in your imagined spacecraft, you notice that motion through space changes your relationship with the stars. The constellations still shine, but you know their light is ancient. In your high-speed journey, you might even overtake some of that light's age difference, slipping forward in time, compared to the starlight reaching your eyes. And you wonder, if speed can stretch time, could it also be a tool for exploration? Could humanity one day use this strange property to travel to distant worlds, arriving in what feels like a short trip to the crew, even though decades might pass on Earth? For now, this belongs to the realm of deep space travel dreams, but the science is as real as the grass beneath you and the satellites above. You slow your imagined flight, gliding back toward the Earth. The curve of the planet grows larger, the thin blue halo of the atmosphere returning. Below, cities glow like constellations against the dark land and sea. You pass silently into orbit alongside the satellites, matching their speed, feeling the tension between motion and time. Each one moves with exquisite precision, its clock tuned to both the pull of Earth and the rush of its own movement. This is the invisible harmony that makes GPS possible, a constant adjustment, a marriage between the flow of time and the mechanics of motion. You descend now, falling gently, back toward the quiet field where you began. The grass greets you, the air wraps around you, and the night remains. But you know something you didn't before. Every step you take, every car that moves, every plane that flies, every satellite that circles, all are subtly altering their experience of time. You rest in the knowledge that your seconds are yours, yet they are part of a larger, shifting fabric. And as you think of speed bending time, you begin to wonder about the other force that can change it, the silent, constant presence that holds you here to the ground. That presence has been with you all along, cradling you gently in its pull, shaping every moment you live. It is time to listen to that other hand on the clock, the gentle weight of gravity itself. The river that flows backward. You stand at the edge of a river, its surface mirroring the pale moon. At first, it flows forward like all rivers do, until it doesn't. Moments ripple outward, then turn and return to you. Here, we begin to feel how time is not always a one-way current. You sit by the riverbank, your toes brushing the cool grass. The night air is still, except for the gentle murmur of water folding over stones. It is a sound you have always known, the constant forward rush of a current, as if the river itself is certain about its destination. But tonight, something is different. The moonlight pools in silver threads on the water's surface, and you notice tiny swirls moving against the flow. They are small at first, barely noticeable, yet they draw your attention like whispers just beyond hearing. You lean closer, the current slows, pauses, and then, impossibly, reverses. The water is flowing backward. It is not chaotic, not violent, just a calm, steady retreat, as though the river is remembering where it came from. You watch in quiet awe, and your mind begins to wonder, could time do the same? You recall how in the forest, shadows stretch and shrink with the sun. How in the sky, stars from the past arrive in the present. But here, by this river, you feel something stranger, the sense that moments might turn around and revisit you, carrying with them pieces of what was in physics. There is an idea called time symmetry. At the smallest scales in the hidden world of particles, certain events don't seem to care whether time moves forward or backward. The equations that describe them are reversible, like a film that can be played both ways. It is only in the larger, warmer world we live in, where coffee cools and leaves decay, that time seems to march in a single direction. You imagine the river as a thread in a great tapestry. In one direction, it weaves new patterns. In the other, it unravels. Yet both motions are part of the same cloth. The grass sways lightly as if agreeing. The night smells faintly of wet earth and distant pine. You close your eyes and feel your heartbeat, each pulse moving forward. But you know that in the vast fabric of the cosmos, the rules are not as rigid as they feel in your chest. Your thoughts drift to memory. Isn't memory a kind of river flowing backward? Each time you remember, you dip your hand into waters that have already passed, pulling something from the past into the present. Perhaps this is why the river here feels so familiar. It is behaving like your mind. A fish leaps silently from the surface and slips back in, the ripples moving both away from and toward you at once. You wonder if the fish knows the direction of the current, or if it simply trusts the water to carry it where it needs to be. Farther downstream, the water begins to swirl in a great circular motion, forming an eddy that neither advances nor retreats. It simply turns endlessly, like a thought you cannot let go of. Time can feel like that, to not moving forward or backward, but spinning in place, holding you inside a single moment. Your fingers trail along the surface, feeling the pull of the reverse flow. It is gentle, like the tug of a dream trying to bring you back in. You realize you are not resisting. There is no reason to. If time can move both ways here, perhaps you can rest in either. A breeze drifts from the west, carrying the scent of rain. Somewhere deep in the mountains, the source of this river waits, unseen. You imagine droplets falling there days ago, only to be carried here tonight, and in this strange reversal, perhaps to be returned again. You open your eyes to the stars reflected in the water. In their shimmering light, you feel the layers of time folding over each other. Your past self, your present self, and the countless possibilities of who you might become are all here, sharing the same quiet bank. Science says that in the world of quantum particles, the future can sometimes influence the past. A strange dance called retrocausality. It sounds impossible, but so does this river flowing backward before your eyes. You wonder if the future could speak to the past. What would it say to you now? Would it tell you to turn around, to change course, to try again? Or would it tell you that everything you are is already part of a larger, perfect current? The backward flow begins to slow. Ripples soften into stillness. You feel the air shift, heavier, thicker, as though holding a pause between breaths. In this pause, you understand something. The direction of time might be less important than the way you move within it. The river resumes its forward path, as naturally as a sigh. The sound of its return is soft, almost shy, as though nothing unusual has happened at all. But you know better. You have seen the current change. You have felt the pull in both directions. You stand, brushing the grass from your palms. The moon sits higher now, casting a longer light across the water. You take one last look at the river's slow journey toward tomorrow, and you smile, because somewhere inside you, a question has begun to take shape. One that will not be answered tonight. If a river can flow backward, and time can bend, then perhaps there is a place where time does not flow at all, flow at all, flow at all, flow.